Check out this clip between Chris and Dr. Jordan Peterson and let me know your thoughts.
Right? I get toward the end of my 20s. I've achieved success in many of the ways that society tells a young man that he should value success. Maybe I need to assess whether or not the things that I've been told I should want are things that I actually want to want. And very quickly you realize, and I don't know, it feels like a quarter life crisis. I think so many men go through this. They go, I either succeeded or didn't succeed at a game that I was told that I was supposed to value playing. And upon reflection, I really don't care for it as much as I thought I did.
I've been through this transition a few times in my life as well. With my first career when I was at McDonald's, I honestly thought that my career was going to end with McDonald's because I loved it so much. The structure, the novelty, all the things inside of it was such a perfect business. But once I got fucked over and I got demoted from store manager back to first assistant, that's where things changed. And I went through this awakening moment where I was like, is this all I'm settling for? Is this all that I'm worth? So then I went and did my personal training certificates and fell into personal training. I've been there for 13 years now. So I noticed about 7 years into personal training, I had the same thing happen. All of a sudden, I wanted more. I wanted more purpose, more meaning. I wanted to change things. I also started to get sick of bodybuilding training. I was so done with it. I needed different exposure. I needed more novelty. I needed something that meant more. Because bodybuilding for me, it was like, it was the mastery of it. It was the aesthetics. It was the sculpting. It was the posing. It was all that sort of stuff. I didn't really care so much about the training. The training was just the fun. It was the vehicle necessary to get to the stage where I could get on stage or I could do the poses. I could shape my body as a sculptor would. But then that lost meaning for me as well. And I no longer cared about the bodybuilding training. I was like, there has to be something more than this. I went through a bit of an epiphany where it was like, is this all I'm settling for? I'm settling for aesthetics. So one thing that I'm noticing is in the social media age, we're having more and more of these value changes inside of our life where one thing that we thought actually meant something to us, like me growing up watching Arnold Schwarzenegger, all I wanted to do was be a bodybuilder. I thought that's what I'm aiming for. He was a massive role model for me. However, seeing social media and seeing all these differences around, we've got this plethora of experiences to be able to change, to be able to try on new value systems inside of ourselves. That's why we go through a career for so long and then all of a sudden it's no longer what we wanted. It no longer gives purpose and meaning to our life and we want to evolve, we want to change. Same thing happens with training. The same thing happens with all areas across life. That's why it's so important to do the R.Y.S.E movement, to raise your standards everywhere so that you can understand when this value change is actually happening. Because one of the first things around archetypes and around energy inside of your life is understanding the lover archetype. The lover archetype comes down to your standards, your values, your belief systems, all these sorts of things they're not set in stone. They're constantly evolving, constantly changing as you interact with the outside world. So when things are coming into the five senses, going into your mind and you're processing them in real time, there's going to be change, there's going to be transformation. The moment that something new comes in and it goes against your values, there's going to be a reshuffling of your values hierarchy. This happens in all areas of life. That's why it's so important to be aware of what's going on internally in your psychology, to be able to understand your emotions, to be able to understand values, beliefs, and understand what your standards are. Because if things aren't happening in the outside world in your results, you can damn well be sure that there's going to be things in conflict inside of your unconscious, inside of your values and belief systems. That's why it's important to do the R.Y.S E movement. Follow me to rise higher.